Hello and welcome. You're watching the Political Stock Exchange for Karnataka. I'm Rahul Kamal. We've tracked the C-Voter opinion poll data on the PSC so far, as also data from a few other polling agencies. On this show, we're going to look at the CSDS numbers for Karnataka and try and get a sense of which way the political winds are blowing right ahead of the last leg of campaigning in this crucial battleground state.
Big fight over Bajrangbali. Prime Minister declares himself Hanuman Bhakt.
दोनों हाथ ऊपर करके मेरे साथ बोलिए, बजरंगबली की।
Hindutva, now number one issue.
रिवर्स गियर कांग्रेस दूसरी दिशा में चलती है और ऐसे ही एंटी नेशनल लोगों से चुनावी मदद लेती है।
Who has the edge? Who does Karnataka want as Chief Minister? Most definitive election tracker, Karnataka Political Stock Exchange. Big focus on Newstrack.
On this edition of the Political Stock Exchange, we're going to look at what the Karnataka Opinion Poll Tracker for the CSDS, the Center for the Study of Developing Societies, is saying. Remember, this is a think tank, a group of well-known academics conducting the study in Karnataka. And before I show you the CSDS numbers, and we've got the pollsters and the lead psephologists with us on this broadcast, I want to show you where things stand at the starting point, because that is important. Oftentimes we think that everyone knows where the match actually starts from, but I just want to spend a moment looking at where things are in Karnataka before the first vote has been cast. We've tracked on this chart the vote share for the principal political formations in the state of Karnataka going back to 1957, which is when the Congress registered 52.7% vote share. Their worst performance was in 1978, just on the back of the emergency. As you see, from 2004 to 2018, the Congress has been in the mid-30s. In the last elections, the Congress registered a vote share of 38%. They were actually ahead of the BJP, even though the BJP was the party that got the maximum number of seats. The BJP had a vote share of 36. If you see, the BJP has had an erratic vote share. Starting from the late 70s, the BJP peaked in terms of its seat share in 2008. It crashed in 2013 when Yedurappa left the party, and in the last elections had a vote share of 36%. The Janata Dal, which going back to the late 70s, at one point in time enjoyed a vote share in the high 30s and was the principal opponent, in the last election had a vote share of 18.4%. Let's show you how dramatic the swings in terms of seat share and vote share have been in successive Karnataka elections. What you're seeing is data which shows you how much the vote share swings. So in 1999, the party that lost 87 seats, which was the Janata Dal, lost 9.6%. So from the ruling party to the party that won, the vote share transfer was 9.6%. That's a big vote share transfer. In 2001, when the Congress was the incumbent party, they lost 67 seats they held in the elections. Their loss to the JDS and the BJP was 5.5% in terms of vote share. In 2008, the incumbent party at that time was the BJP. Remember, they'd come into power with the JDS in the last elections. They gained 31 seats and about 5.6% vote share. In 2013, the BJP was the incumbent party. They lost a whopping 70 seats. The point we're trying to make is that results can be pretty dramatic in either direction. The BJP lost 70 seats. They had a vote share loss of 14%. That's a big vote share loss. In the last elections, the Congress actually lost just 1.4% vote share. Despite that, they lost 42 seats. So you get a sense of how things in Karnataka can move election after election. So that being said, let's now start showing you the data from the CSDS opinion poll. And the first question that I'm putting on the screen is about whether respondents in the CSDS survey wanted to give the incumbent BJP government another chance at power. And here, 31% of the respondents, that's 3 in 10, said they'd like to give the incumbent government another chance. 57% said no, they don't want to give the BJP another chance. That's a very high level of anti-incumbency. The next question about which party is best for the development of the state. Here we had the Congress at 47, the BJP at 37. That's a gap of 10% between what voters think is the party best placed to govern the state. The Janata Dal Secular came in at 14. With those two data sets out, I want to introduce now our guests, starting with Professor Sanjay Kumar, Director at the Lokniti CSDS Center, one of India's top psephologists. Joining us also is his colleague, Dr. Sandeep Shastri, who is based in Bengaluru, has his nose very close to the ground, National Coordinator at the Lokniti Network. For a contrarian perspective, we've got another pollster who's picking up something very different, and I'll try and understand from Manoj Kumar Singh what he's picking up and why it's different from what other pollsters seem to be picking up. Manoj Kumar Singh is the CEO of Matriz Communications. With us for political perspective on this broadcast is Professor Rajiv Gowda, Chairperson of the Congress's Research Department, Tanveer Ahmed, National Spokesperson of the Janata Dal Secular, and joining us from the Bharatiya Janata Party is KS Naveen. So I want to go across first to Sanjay Kumar on the first question which was put out on whether the incumbent government should get another chance. Almost 6 in 10 respondents in your survey seem to be suggesting that they want change. When you look at this level of anti-incumbency and compare it with other state governments where you've done similar polls, what's your assessment of the level of anti-incumbency against the Bommai government of Karnataka?
Rahul, I think the data is self-explanatory. If you look at the proportion of voters who want this government to be re-elected and proportion of voters who want to be this government not to be re-elected, it's a very high number. And if I compare it with similar question asked in other states, I think this is a very high number. More than 55% people saying they don't want this government to be re-elected, and only little less than 1/3 of people wanting this government to be re-elected. A very high, or I get a sense of strong anti-incumbency against the ruling BJP.
Remember, compare that 31% with the 36% actual vote share the BJP had, which means at least 5% of those who did vote for the BJP in the last election now want the government to change. And the Congress had a vote share of only 38%. Almost 20% more people think they want this government to go and to bring another government in. Given what you've just said, I want to go across to Sandeep Shastri on the second question, which is about which party is best placed to develop the state further. The Congress here has a 10% lead over the BJP, which seems to suggest from your survey that people think at this moment the Congress is better placed to govern Karnataka than the BJP. To what extent are these numbers set in motion? To what extent might they change before the 10th, given that the Prime Minister, Amit Shah, JP Nadda and everybody else from the BJP is performing a last leg bombardment in Karnataka? Are these numbers now more or less set? Could they change? Sandeep Shastri.
Rahul, as Sanjay ji said, there is a clear mood that comes out in the survey. But let's also mention that this survey was done in the last week of April, when the campaign was still on. So, Lokniti CSDS has maintained that the mood that we have projected is a mood in the end of April. And because the campaign has still several days left, there is always a scope for some change to happen this way or that.
Will that be marginal change according to you, or could that be major change?
Respondents.
Sandeep Shastri, marginal change or major change? What's possible?
Now, in a close race, even a marginal change can make a difference, Rahul. In a close race, even a marginal change can make a difference. And the question which you raised about the Congress being seen as preferred for development must be linked to the earlier question as to whether you would like to give the government another chance. So, in the minds of the people, if there is a feeling of only 1/3 saying that they would like to give the government another chance, this also this in a sense reflects the way people think. And when you ask a question on who is better suited for development, they are responding to what they think is the situation in the state and how they would like to see the state,
Okay.
and what they think about the voting that will happen in the state.
I want to come to the next question, which is about who is the preferred candidate for chief ministership. And here, as was the case in the C voter data, Siddaramiah, the former Congress chief minister, comes out way on top. I think in that poll it was 44, here it is 40, but directionally the same. DK Shivakumar, who's the other Congress contender, comes in at only 4. So a gap of 10-fold between Shivakumar and Siddaramiah. Bommai is at 22, Kumaraswamy at 15, Yediyurappa, who's no longer in the fray, and therefore it's unfair to think that that is his actual level of popularity, comes in at only 5. Professor Rajiv Gowda, it's a good problem to have, but you have two candidates who both publicly say they're in the fray. Poll after poll seems to suggest that Siddaramiah is your real mass leader. DK Shivakumar is resourceful, he's a good organizational man, he's useful to have, but he can't hold a candlelight in terms of the public popularity of Mr. Siddaramiah.
Rahul, the results that you're seeing are based on people's opinions, and their opinions are based on Mr. Siddaramiah's wonderful track record as Chief Minister already. He's someone that they know who has delivered, and the decision on Chief Ministership will be taken by the party MLAs after the election. Mr. Siddaramiah, we're very happy to see these sorts of numbers. We're happy to see that between Siddaramiah and Shivakumar taken together, and possibly some other extra numbers, nearly half the population is in favor of a Congress candidate for Chief Minister. So let us deal with the decision at that point. Basically, I think this is a vote of affirmation on the part of the public that, Mr. Siddaramiah delivered a wonderful development regime-focused, inclusive regime when he was leading the Congress, and I think that's what these numbers reflect. They also reflect support for the Congress, and that's really, but I'm very happy to see that, because Mr. Siddaramiah...
You're basically saying we're delighted we are going past the finishing line. Who becomes CM, we'll deal with that headache later. Okay, but remember, this is towards the end of April. You still have about a week to go before polling ends, before campaigning ends, and 10th is the day of polling.
Yeah, but frankly, Rahul, I don't see any mega changes in any other context. If you saw 57% of the population of those polled opposed so strongly to the continuance of the state government, you would have...
No, so you're right. If the Congress was in power and the BJP was in opposition, I'd say this is a done deal. That the BJP would win if the BJP was the opposition party and the Congress was the incumbent party. It is just that the modern day Congress is so enfeebled and the modern day BJP so strong that people anticipate that there could be a last minute change in the story. Remember, this is India versus Bangladesh. In that recent match which happened, you kept thinking till the end that Bangladesh is winning, and then somehow they choked at the last moment, and in the end India won. So I'm just highlighting that, but what you're saying...
India, Congress is India, don't worry.
Okay, you're entitled to say that. I'm just doing the panditri here. The numbers are speaking for themselves, and yes, the BJP does have a strong finishing game usually, and the Congress is usually weak at finishing. But the point that both Sanjay Kumar and Sandeep Shastri make is that the gap now is a major gap. Can that change, into what extent? Usually changes in a tight election can be very big, but the numbers we put out so far don't seem to suggest that it's a very tight contest. Who will the poor vote for? Here we've got 50% of the respondents saying they want to vote for the Congress party, 23% of the respondents say they want to vote for the BJP. This is poor. Inversely, when you ask the rich who will you vote for, in that CSDS survey, 31% of the rich say they'll vote for the Congress, 46% of the rich say they'll vote for the BJP. But the problem is there are many more poor people than there are rich. So even if you got the rich rooting for the BJP, but the poor rooting for the Congress, that's not a happy spot for the BJP to be in. I want to go across to Manoj Kumar Singh of Matrice Communications, because from the data that I saw from you, and I'll call the poll of polls up on the screen right now, This helps you compare what Matriz is saying with what the other pollsters have said. You're actually suggesting that the BJP will finish number 1, very close to the majority mark, and the Congress would do better than last time but still be a distant second. What is it, Manoj Kumar Singh, that you and your pollsters are picking up where the other pollsters seem to be thinking that there is a decisive lead for the Congress party? Manoj.
देखिए, अभी सारे लोगों ने डाटा पे काफ़ी कुछ बहस किया है। मैं 2-3 चीज़ों पे जाना चाह रहा हूँ। मेरे 2 ओपिनियन पोल आए हैं और इसमें बीजेपी को बढ़ते हुए हम लोगों ने दिखाया है। हम लोगों ने देखा है अपने डेटा में कि लिंगायतों का समर्थन जो पहले मिलता था उससे ज़्यादा एग्रेसिव होकर लिंगायत बीजेपी के साथ जुड़े हुए हैं। जितनी ओबीसी की जो कास्ट हैं वो भी ये इनके साथ पहले की अपेक्षा जुड़े हुए हैं। मेरा 2-3 प्रश्न है कि कांग्रेस ने जो चुनाव अभियान की शुरुआत किया 40% को लेकर कि 40% कमीशन मिलता है, दिया जाता है यहाँ पे काम के लिए, लेकिन चुनाव अभियान के दौरान वो कहां पे 40% की बात कही जाए, कांग्रेस ने उसको उस इश्यूज को छोड़ दिया। और कल का जो उन्होंने बजरंग बली का जो नारा प्रतिबंध की बात किया है, ये बजरंग दल और बजरंग बली को एक साथ मिलाकर आज प्रधानमंत्री ने जब भी कहीं भी जीतना होता है किसी चीज को तो कहा जाता है कि जय हनुमान और उसको जीत के लिए आगे बढ़ जाता है। और प्रधानमंत्री ने इसकी शुरुआत आज इन्होंने अपने भाषणों से किया है। सबसे बड़ी मुश्किल बात है कि बीजेपी को ध्रुवीकरण काफी पसंद है और कांग्रेस हमेशा ये चीजें इन चीजों पे गलतियां करते आई है और उसने मुद्दा दिया है बीजेपी को लड़ने के लिए। आदि जहां तक हैदराबाद कर्नाटका की बात है वहां पे ध्रुवीकरण हो चुका था, सेंट्रल कर्नाटका में नहीं हो रहा था। 3 रीजन थे जहां पे ध्रुवीकरण का कोई असर नहीं दिख रहा था और बीजेपी के लिए मुश्किल था। और लेकिन कांग्रेस ने एकाएक ऐसा एक मुद्दा दिया है
नहीं, पर आपका पोल तो इससे पहले हो गया था ना। कांग्रेस ने जो बात कही बजरंग दल पे वो तो कल थी, आपका पोल तो उससे पहले हो गया था। बट आई सी द पॉइंट दैट यू आर मेकिंग व्हिच इज there could be polarization, that all this is valid only if things stay the way they are. If society and voters get polarized, then they're thinking more Hindu-Muslim, and you're saying that that's the direction which the BJP is trying to take, the last phase of the battle, and that could be the game changer. Manoj, यही बात बोल रहे हैं आप?
जी एकदम 100%.
Okay, I want you mentioned the Lingayat vote. I want to call that up on the screen. This question was asked by CSDS. Who will the Lingayats vote for? And unlike what the Congress is expecting, 67% of the Lingayat voters say they'll vote for the BJP. So the Lingayat vote bank of the Bharatiya Janata Party, according to the CSDS poll, is still largely intact. It's not come down. At least 6 out of 10 Lingayats typically say they vote for the BJP, so it's staying at that or a little bit more. It hasn't fragmented. On the other side, the Vocaliga vote is actually split between the Congress and the JDS. 34% of the Vocaligas who were polled by CSDS said they'd vote for the Congress. 36% said they'd vote for the Janata Dal Secular. So more Vocaligas choosing once again the Janata Dal Secular than the Congress. Tanveer Ahmed would be happy to hear that. Tanveer, this whole idea that somehow the Vocaliga vote bank would desert the JDS and move over to the BJP or the Congress, this poll seems to suggest that you are still the #1 party amongst the Vocaliga voters, especially in Old Mysuru.
It's a very fantastic and very happy result to see that one particular community is standing en masse. But however, we would also like to see the kind of politics which is played by Congress and BJP. Just taking a simple example of banning Bajrang Dal, it has not benefited BJP by and large. It has benefited JDS because at 66 places we are in direct contest with Congress. So it is definitely going to help us, help the Janata Dal Secular. It's a very nice thing because having a tall leader like Deve Gowda was the only Prime Minister, and everybody in the community is totally proud of, even the Vakaligas in BJP and Congress. They always see Kempe Gowda and Deve Gowda on a similar page. They always say that, they both have really made us really proud. So I'm really not surprised to see that Vakaliga community standing en masse. with Janata Dal.
Sandeep Shastri, respond to the point that Manoj Singh made about polarization in the last phase of campaigning, this whole no ball, which the Congress bowled on the Bajrang Dal, which could have well been avoided. It's like too many wordsmiths, overwriting a script, ending up putting things which could have just been done away with, giving the BJP an handle, which is now being used in the last phase to hit out at the Congress, and the extent to which that could change the nature of the outcome on the 10th of May.
Now, I appreciate the point that was made, but I would say on that particular issue that in 2018, when the BJP came close to a majority, at that time and in that election, I think you had the saturation of the vote which came on the factor of a religious divide. And that's why during this campaign there has not been much use of hijab or any of the other issues as part of the campaign, because I think that saturation that could have been achieved by that religious divide vote was already achieved in 2018. My own sense is that the latest controversy relating to the Bajrang Dal also, I think those who would support the BJP for that factor would anyway support the BJP. So I'm not too sure as to whether this issue would lead
Sanjay Kumar, do you agree with Sandeep Shastri's idea that those who would be swayed by issues like Hindutva, like the Bajrang Dal, are already voting for the BJP, and therefore, if things are to change in the last week, you need to change the voter who's on the fence, and he's unlikely to get swayed by Bajrang Dal because the Bajrang Dal supporter voter is already in the BJP's pocket?
If we are only looking at the Bajrang Dal supporters, suppose, so they may be, like the committed voters of BJP. But I do agree that there could be some shift in the last, say, 5-7 days of the campaign. I don't rule out that possibility. Sandeep Shastri has already mentioned, and I want to again reiterate that the survey was conducted in the last week of April. I don't rule out some changes, but personally I believe I don't expect changes to happen in to such an extent that it could change the entire narrative which we are getting at the ground at this moment, which is to say that Congress seems to be having a comfortable lead. I don't think the change would take place to such an extent that BJP will take over Congress, but the gap can narrow down, things can change, because we still have to see Prime Minister Modi campaigning, like he has to address a large number of rallies in Karnataka.
Sure. Mohan Vishwa from the BJP, this idea that 57% of the respondents don't want to give the government another chance according to the CSDS survey, and on the issue of the party that is best stated for developing the state, the Congress comes with a 10% gap over the BJP. Now usually you would like to believe that the BJP is the pro-development party and the Congress isn't. The voters in Karnataka in this poll conducted by Sanjay Kumar and Sandeep Shastri and their teams don't seem to agree.
See, Rahul, I don't know exactly the sample size and where and all on what basis, they have conducted the survey. But let me tell you, the people of Karnataka, especially the Modi ji, you can see, the Modi ji is visiting the state from past 10 to 11 months. For what sake he is visiting? Either he is visiting to lay foundation stone, or he is visiting to, inaugurate certain developmental activities. We himself have laid down this foundation stage. So as a double engine government, both at the state and the center, Karnataka has set up a model for other states. If you have both, the same party at the center and the state, how fast and how far, the development could be. So that's the kind of pace the Karnataka have driven up in front of development. So that's the model Karnataka has set up. So that's what we're going around. And wherever Modi ji goes from past 10 to 11 months, you would have seen.
Do you have any data, sir?
Can I tell you?
Sir, do you have any data for how the double engine has helped Karnataka?
Mr. Tanveer Bhai, your own Karyakartas, the JDS Karyakartas, who is going by road today is on Bengaluru-Mysore Expressway. That was built by our double engine government. Your own Karyakartas, who are drinking pure, water connection in the old Mysore region. They are from Okalika community or Lingayat community. That was done by our BJP government. Please do understand.
I want to stick to the data and not get caught up in rhetoric. I want to move to the next set that I'm putting out, which is about which party is perceived as being corrupt, which party is perceived as being nepotistic, faction-ridden, who can maintain religious harmony. And remember, Why these questions are important is because they give you a sense of what respondents in the survey say. 59% of the respondents in the CSDS survey thought the BJP was the most corrupt party. 35% said the Congress is the most corrupt. On the issue of which is the most nepotistic party, and remember the charge of nepotism is often flung the Congress's way. In this sample though, 59% of the respondents said the BJP is the most nepotistic party. Which party is most faction-ridden? Again, ordinarily the Congress is accused of being faction-ridden. In this sample though, 55% of the respondents are saying the BJP is more faction-ridden, 30% say the Congress is more faction-ridden. I want to go across to Sanjay Kumar on this because this is quite different from what you'd expect in another state. On the issue of corruption, on the issue of nepotism, on the issue of factions, you'd expect ordinarily that the Congress would rank worse than the BJP. Your data seems to suggest the opposite, or at least suggest that that's not true in Karnataka.
2 points, Rahul. One, the kind of BJP which we see at the national level is not the kind of BJP which we see in the Karnataka. In Karnataka, it's a different BJP. If you look at the Congress elsewhere in other states may be faction-ridden, very low, lying very low, doesn't have a support base. But in Karnataka, if you look at the support base of Congress, still enjoys a widespread support base, and also it is still, you know, like a cohesive party. It is still a very dominant party in Karnataka. So that's one point, that the National Congress is very different compared to the Karnataka Congress. That same applies to BJP as well. The second point is, if the party seems to be on the slide, and I think from the survey I gather that BJP seems to be on the slide in Karnataka. So if it is sliding, then people see all the ills in that party, and if the party seems to be holding strong, people, because remember, this is a perception survey. We don't have a thermometer to figure out whether it is right or wrong. It is about perception. So the Congress is on the up, and people generally in Karnataka believe that everything is good about Congress in Karnataka and everything is bad about BJP in Karnataka.
Professor Gowda, from the Congress's perspective, the question is, are Congress voters, Karyakartas, Netas likely to look at this poll and others like this and say, okay, we won, hum to jeet gaye ji, our work is done. Now the Prime Minister is doing 8-hour, 10-hour road shows, he's on the ground continuously, and because this mahal, this narrative is being built from these surveys which seem to suggest the Congress is in the lead, the Congress, as the Congress usually does, gets complacent and starts celebrating a victory before the last vote's been counted.
Not at all, Rahul. That's exactly the opposite of what's going on. We are very, very cognizant of the fact that the BJP has enormous funds, that they will be, they will be pushing out a lot of resources trying to buy votes. And so we are on the alert. We are really doubling our efforts. And then this new narrative that they're trying to create around, our efforts to create a peaceful Karnataka, where we have said...
No, but do you accept that Bajrang Dal inclusion in the manifesto, given that you didn't lay out any evidence about the charges against the Bajrang Dal, which would warrant for the organization to be banned, is an unnecessary self-goal which you could have well avoided?
Not at all, because people want peace. And nobody in Karnataka is stupid enough to believe the equivalence of Bajrang Bali, which is Hanuman, with the Bajrang Dal, which is a bunch of thugs. Okay, it's like saying Ram Sena, which attacked women, is to represent Sri Rama. Okay, that is not, if you're trying to fool the people of Karnataka with this kind of narrative, they will reject you even more. So don't expect that this sort of narrative will change anything. It is now cooked up by the BJP to try and make some difference when they're desperate and they have no issues whatsoever. The numbers are staring them in the face. Defeat is staring them in the face. The Prime Minister can spend the next 10 days here, nothing will change.
You know, while the BJP does have a high asking rate in the last week in Karnataka, they also have Prime Minister Modi who can do possibly a Rinku Singh, or at least they think he can do a Rinku Singh. But the problem, Mohan Vishwa, is that all your other batsmen have failed. All the state leaders have left this election at a stage where you're now dependent on the Prime Minister to find some way of hitting 5 sixes in the last 5 balls to take you through. Because if that weren't the case, if that was the one variable the answer to which wasn't known, Sandeep Shastri and Sanjay Kumar would happily say it's game, set, match Congress. The only reason they're being wary of saying so clearly is because Modi is still batting. But what about all the other batsmen?
Rahul, that's what I said in my initial remarks. It is not the last minute swing. Come on, from past 1 year, what's happening in the state? Why Modi ji is coming? Who is standing along with him? I don't want to repeat the same thing again and again. We are behind development. That is what we are doing. And the Congress people, you know, when they made that corruption allegation, there were 3 sessions happened in the assembly. 2 in Bengaluru, 1 is Belgaum. They never had a guts to discuss that. They don't have a guts to go and give complaint to either Lokaयुक्त or ACB. On what basis they are making those kind of allegations? And also, let me tell you one more thing. Looking at these answers, you know, when I saw that nepotism, if somebody is giving hardly 8% for the JDS, people will laugh. Who is controlling that party? The entire country is controlling.
No, I think you missed the point that Sanjay Kumar made. This is not a survey about facts. Of course, the JDS is a nepotistic party. The whole family is in politics. That's not the point. This is about perception. What do respondents perceive as being true? It's not about who's actually more corrupt or who can develop. It's about perception, and ultimately people perceive things a certain way, which is why they vote the way they do. Okay.
Rahul, let it be a perception for that matter. And do you believe that, you know, JDS hardly has 8% and BJP has 59%? Come on, what is it? Everybody knows, and everybody's perception knows that, you know, JDS is purely a family-owned party. Everything will be decided in Padmanabh Nagar dining table. Hardly they have 6 chairs, you know, 6 people will decide there.
Okay, Tanveer wants to, Tanveer is itching to come in and respond.
This looks
okay.
ridiculous. This looks
Tanveer,
ridiculous.
very quickly, because I need to stay focused on the data. Tanveer?
Politics of contribution, definitely JDS and leaders have done it. Nikhil Kumaraswamy is the only one who's a new entrant. Though he has stood for an MP election, and he took about 5.6 lakh votes. And which is the other family member? Revanna is a 5th time MLA. Kumaraswamy is already there. What do you mean by all the members of the family is there? Absolutely no. There are only 2 people from the family.
Okay.
Though there was, everybody wanted Bhavani Revanna to contest from Hassan, we gave it to a common Karyakarta.
Okay.
I mean, this is really,
you know,
totally
so I just want to tell our viewers.
I would like to agree with Professor Rajiv Goda at only one point. Only one point. That BJP has totally lost issues. That's the reason they are picking up non-issues. To be an insignificant party here in Karnataka, try to be significant.
Okay, ji. Let's now put Sandeep Shastri on the mat, because what you've seen so far is the response of people who were surveyed by CSDS on various questions. What CSDS hasn't put out as an organization is the vote share for this election, and that's what I want now Sandeep Shastri to do. Use this sample to give us his estimate of what you think is the likely vote share on the 10th of May. Professor Shastri.
Last time the Congress got around 38% of the vote and the BJP 36%. And if our data shows the type of trends we are noticing, it surely would be a much wider vote share for the Congress and a much wider gap between the Congress and the BJP. And if they were already at 38% last time, it is bound to, if we go by what the trend was in the last week of April, it is definitely, going by that trend, going to be much above 38%.
Okay. You know, so what I did is, we worked on converting possible change in vote share into seat share. So I just want to walk across and show that to you. So what both Sanjay Kumar and Sandeep Shastri are saying is that it is likely that the Congress will gain more vote share. Now, how does this translate into seats? Let's just put that on the screen right now. This is for every % of vote that the Congress gains. So, for example, if the Congress were to gain 1% vote share, their seat share goes up from 80 to 83. If the Congress were to gain 2% vote share, their seat share could go up to 92. If the Congress were to gain 3% vote share, then the seat share could go up to 107. Remember, 113 is kind of what you need, right? That's the halfway mark in an assembly of 224. If the Congress were to gain 4% vote share, then their seat share could go up to 122. With 5% vote share, the seat share could go up to 139. So if the vote share were to go up, say, between 4 to 6%, then the Congress could end up somewhere in the 120s, 130s range. That is just the way the data was towards the end of April. Remember, 10th of May is polling, and there still could be a last-minute twist. To what extent, we don't know, but this is what the data suggests in terms of, for every vote share that the Congress gains, where could the Congress possibly end up in terms of seats. Conversely, let's look at if the BJP were to lose some votes. Remember, they had 36% of the votes. If they lost, say, 1% of the vote, from 104, they could come down to 103. If they lose 2% votes, the BJP could be at 91. If the BJP were to lose 3% of the votes, they could end up at 81. If the BJP were to lose 4% of the vote they had last time, they could end up at around 74. So this table essentially gives you a sense of the possible gains to the Congress and subsequent losses to the BJP if some of the trends picked up by CSDS actually carry out till the 10th of May. Sanjay Kumar, you want to come in and give us a sense of how what you've picked up in terms of votes and in terms of the mood in the state could possibly translate into vote share and seat share on counting day?
Rahul, the way you analyze that, 1% vote, 2% votes in favor of Congress would result into X number of seats. This one has to figure out, this is a three-way contest, Rahul. So how do we assume that 1% vote which is coming to Congress or 4% vote which Congress has gained, it is coming from which party?
Okay, that's a good question.
In this kind of an analysis.
No, I'll tell you what.
In your analysis,
those numbers
your
are
analysis.
Go on. First, you complete what you're saying.
So I am not sure whether you are assuming that this 4% vote which Congress is gaining is all coming from BJP, or it's coming from JDS, or it's coming from elsewhere. Okay. That needs to be explained, because it can't be as simple as that.
Sure, that's a good point. That's a very good point.
That
and I want Sandeep Shastri to explain it, because those tables were actually computed by Dr. Sandeep Shastri, and that's a very good question, which would be, Professor Shastri, in the minds of voters as well, that let's assume the Congress were to gain 1, 2, 3, 4% vote share. How do you translate that vote share gain into seat share? Explain the logic and rationale behind your workings.
Right. Let me make a point here that this has nothing to do with the CSDS Lokniti survey. In discussion with the India Today data team, when more than 4 or 5 days ago, we were looking at what could the configurations be if 1%, 2%, 3%, 4%, 5% loss was there, and keeping in mind the type of vote share the Congress had across the state, and the type of vote share the BJP has across the state, and in the context of the JDS presence in certain pockets. It was in that context with the data team that these numbers were looked at, and these numbers, and I'm again making this point very crystal clear, these numbers has nothing to do with the CSDS Lokniti survey, and these numbers were discussed with the data unit of the India Today team well before the survey actually was completed.
Just so that there is context to what's being said.
In a discussion, if there is...
Yeah, just so that there is context to what's being said, our data intelligence unit keeps doing different kinds of calculations about what could happen. This is part of that exercise. This isn't taken from that CSDS poll, but to put the poll in context, what we've done is run the number, which gives you a broad sense of how a vote share increase could potentially translate into a seat share change. But do you want to just explain to Sanjay Kumar's point, Professor Shastri, that even if the vote share of a particular party goes up by, say, 3 or 4%, how do you calculate where that vote share gain is coming from, at whose expense is that party gaining, because that would have an impact on the seat share calculations?
And in
This
Karnataka,
was
this is
done
more
on the
important,
basis
Rahul,
of
because
the past trends in Karnataka. This was done on the basis of where the Janata Dal looks to be strong now, where does the BJP, where is it in terms of northern Karnataka and old Mysore region, and where is the Congress's presence. And we also looked at other studies which have, I've also looked at other studies which came out, and with the data team when discussing this, it was in those contexts that these numbers were actually discussed.
So I want to come now in the last part of our broadcast to the Karnataka poll of polls, which will give you a sense of where things stand net at this moment. You've got Jan Ki Baat and Matrice saying that the BJP will end up as the #1 party. We've got C Voter and Lok Poll saying that the Congress would be the #1 party. C Voter closer to close to the finishing line for the Congress, but not a decisive victory. The likes of Lok Poll suggesting that this is actually a much bigger victory. So are we then, according to you, Sandeep Shastri, looking at a big decisive victory? Are we looking at a tight finish? What should those who are watching you at this moment really be thinking about?
Given the way Karnataka has voted in the past, and given the proclivities of the Congress and the BJP, while it seems that the Congress is ahead of the BJP, I wouldn't rule out any change happening in the next 5-6 days. And I would say it is a close race with a little advantage to the Congress. And I know Rajiv ji will not like me making this point. In the past, the Congress has often snatched defeat from the jaws of victory. Thrice they have done it in the past in Karnataka. And therefore, that element of caution, that though ahead, it is a tight race.
Okay, though ahead, it's a tight race. Manoj Kumar Singh, are you confident of your prediction that the BJP will end up the victorious party on the 13th of May? Or do you want to suggest some caution as well? Manoj.
राहुल जी, सबसे बड़ी बात है कि आपने जो 4 एजेंसियों की बात किया है, उसमें से 2 एजेंसियां हैं जो कांग्रेस की बना रही हैं और 2 हम बीजेपी की सबसे बड़ी पार्टी के रूप में हम लोग देख रहे हैं। सबसे पहले मेरा ये कहना है कि जो भी हमने कास्ट का अभी सारा डिस्कशन किया और वोट शेयर की बात की, सब कुछ की बात की, हमें ये बताना जरूरी होता है कि आखिर जो कास्ट, चाहे वो लिंगायत का हो, लोहागिया का, जो भी हो, ओबीसी हो, एससी हो, एसटी हो, वो चेंज हो रहा है और दूसरे पार्टी की तरफ शिफ्ट हो रहा है, तो क्यों हो रहा है? उसको इशूज क्या मिल गया जिसके कारण वो कास्ट उसके तरफ शिफ्ट हो रहा है? आज की डेट में आप पूरे कर्नाटका में आप घूमेंगे तो एक चीज हर कास्ट में मिलता है। देखिए, शेड्यूल कास्ट, शेड्यूल ट्राइब, ये दोनों कास्ट शिफ्ट हुआ है बीजेपी की तरफ से। जहां बीजेपी पहले से शेड्यूल कास्ट में थी, लेकिन ट्राइबलों में उनकी पकड़ थोड़ी कम थी। जहां तक बात है कि हम सेंट्रल मैसूर की बात करते हैं, वहां पे बीजेपी की अपनी पकड़ बनी हुई है और मैंने क्या कहा, डे टू डे मुद्दे बढ़ते जा रहे हैं। मुझे जब पहली बार चुनाव अनाउंसमेंट हुआ था तो मुश्किल से लगता था कि बीजेपी 100 सीटों तक आ सकती है, लेकिन जैसे जैसे चुनाव और चुनाव प्रचार ने जोर पकड़ा, लोगों ने अपने मत को लोगों के सामने व्यक्त करना शुरू किया कि हम किसके साथ जाएंगे और उसके कारण क्या है। लोगों ने डेवलपमेंट देखा, प्रधानमंत्री के काम की बात करते हैं लोग, साथ साथ मैंने क्या कहा कि कांग्रेस कहती है कि भाई आप डेवलपमेंट पे क्यों नहीं बात कर रहे हैं। पूरे बीजेपी ने बता रही है कि कांग्रेस में हमने पानी के लिए कहां पे किया, एयरपोर्ट के लिए कहां पे काम किया, हॉस्पिटल के लिए क्या किया, एजुकेशन इंडस्ट्री के डेवलपमेंट के लिए क्या काम किया। ये चीजों पे चर्चा होनी चाहिए थी और ये हो रहा है। तो पब्लिकों को लगता है, आम जनता को लगता है कि डबल इंजन की सरकार होगी तो हमें यहां काम करने का मौका मिलेगा। दूसरी बात, जेडीएस और जो बीजेपी हैं, ये दोनों बहुत तरीके से वहां चुनाव लड़ रहे हैं और दोनों, मेरा मानना है कि ये दोनों पार्टियां एक दूसरे को सपोर्ट कर रहे हैं कांग्रेस को रोकने के लिए। जहां तक रही कांग्रेस की बात, आपने प्रचार के लिए बताया कि प्रधानमंत्री जी गए, कांग्रेस की तरफ से भी प्रियंका भी है, राहुल भी है, कांग्रेस का अध्यक्ष भी है, लेकिन इनकी जमीनी पकड़ क्या है और कितने पब्लिक को ये अपने तरफ खींच पाते हैं, ये रिजल्ट बताएगा और चुनाव में सारा दिखेगा। तो मेरे हिसाब से लगता है कि हमने काफी उस पर काम किया है और सर्वे पे अभी भी टीम है वहां पे। आपके पास यदि अभी सुविधा होता तो मैं दिखाता कि लाइव में आज के डेट में और कल के डेट में कितना डेटा में चेंजेज आया है, लोगों का अब जो रिएक्शन है वो दिख रहा है डेटा में। और जो पहले होता था कि मैं नहीं बताऊंगा कि किसको वोट दे रहा हूं, आज के डेट में उसमें जो पहले 17% तक जाता था, आज के डेट में मात्र 5% ऐसे लोग हैं जो कह रहे हैं कि नहीं अभी मैं ये डिसाइड नहीं किया हूं कि किसको वोट दे। यानी कि 12% ऐसे वोटर हैं जो कल के रिएक्शन के बाद, कांग्रेस के घोषणा पत्र के बाद जो आया है, 15% वोटर जो हैं वो आज के डेट में बोलने की स्थिति में आए हैं। और कांग्रेस का ये, बीजेपी का यही सबसे बड़ा हथियार है कि आम जनता को लेकर बोलने लायक बनाती है। दूसरी बात है कि जहां तक हम जातियों की बात करते हैं तो आप उत्तर प्रदेश का उदाहरण देख लीजिए, जहां पे ओबीसी लीडर गए थे, तो उत्तर प्रदेश का उदाहरण देख लीजिए कि जहां बीजेपी कैसे ओबीसी लीडर हटे थे तो लग रहा था कि एक तरफा चुनाव होते जा रहा, लेकिन प्रधानमंत्री और यहां की सरकार ने, जो योगी की सरकार थी, पूरे जातीय समीकरण को तोड़ते हुए एक बड़े बहुमत के साथ सरकार में आई थी। आप बंगाल का उदाहरण देख सकते हैं। तो इसी तरह बीजेपी ने ओबीसी, एसटी और सारे जातियों के उन समीकरणों को हटाया है, उनके लीडर्स को समाप्त किया है। आज के डेट में लिंगायत का पूछिएगा कि लीडर कौन है, बीजेपी के पास भी है और बीजेपी उनको साइड करके
Sanjay Kumar, before I wrap up, your sense of whether the die is cast, the decision is made, or do you think there could be a last over change?
No, decision has not been made, because the decision of the voters will be made only on the 10th of May. So I would not say the decision has already been taken. I think things would change slightly this side or that side. So I won't say that the party is, I'm not in a situation to say party A or party B is certain to win this election. I would say it is, I don't see it as a very tight contest. Congress certainly seems to have an edge, but we have to wait to see how Prime Minister rallies connects with the people of Karnataka, and if that is going to make any change or not. But at this moment, Congress certainly has an edge over BJP.
Okay. We leave it there. You've heard different perspectives, different political voices, different pundits give us their assessment of the state of play in Karnataka. The advantage with this kind of a broadcast is that you picked up a sense of what the respondents in this survey and in different surveys have been saying. So if you keep watching all of them, you get a broad sense of which way the winds could be blowing and what could potentially also change. I want to thank all our guests, Sandeep Shastri, Manoj Kumar Singh, Sanjay Kumar, Rajiv Gowda, Tanveer Ahmed and Mohan Vishwa for joining me